Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to make this little ghost bag for your toddler's Halloween candy. It's pretty deep. It doesn't look that big here, but it's almost 9 inches in depth. So, and about 8 inches across. So it's fairly big. It's made with a 4-weight yarn, so if you want it bigger, you just have to make your yarn worsted. This is just a regular 4-weight, and I used a 4.5 millimeter hook for this. So let's jump right into this. So we're going to start with a slip knot, and you're going to chain 37. So that's my 37. We're going to do what's called a moss stitch. It's a pretty easy pattern stitch, and it'll give you this type of a look. Let's go just to the white part. It'll give you this type of a look. It just looks nicer than just doing a straight, you know, a half double or single or whatever. It just looks better. So this is going to be the bottom of your bag. If you need to turn this over to get into the back bumps, if you wish to do that, you can do that for this project. We won't be building off of the bottom, but it's not necessary to do that. You're going to do 36 moss stitches back across. And the moss stitch is the one stitch will get a half double, the next stitch gets a single, next stitch gets a half double, next stitch gets a single, and you're going to do that all the way down. And if you forget where you're at, if you look at there, you got your 3 bumps on. You just have to keep looking at it if you can't remember where you're at. And then after the single, you're only going to have 2 bumps in that area. So that's how you can remember which stitch you're on. So we're just going to do the moss stitch for 32 stitches all the way back up, because you have 36 working chains. And I need you to leave 4 of those unworked. So 32 stitches, back up, my last stitch is a single crochet. I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to turn my work. I'm going to decrease 2 times. So I'm going to go in and do a decrease. Just with single crochet is fine. And do another decrease. Single crochet is fine. And then we can jump back into our moss stitch all the way back up. Make sure that you're getting into this turning over stitch right at the end that likes to turn over. It's just so we can keep our sides straight. You're going to chain 1 and turn. If you've ended this row with a half double crochet, you're still going to chain 1 and turn. So now we do another moss stitch back up, leaving 4 stitches unworked. So right now you should have 28 stitches. I've single crocheted and chain 1, so I'm going to start this row in that same stitch with a half double, because you want to continue alternating. So now I'm putting half doubles on top of singles. Like I said, if you screw up and you forget where you're at, it's no big deal. You won't even notice it. So again, I'm leaving 4 stitches unworked. I've ended with a single crochet. I'm going to chain 1, I'm going to turn. This will be the row that I do my decrease. So using a single, I'm going to decrease, and then I'm going to decrease again. And then I'm going to continue my moss stitch all the way back up. Chain 1, turn your work. This is what you should have. These little stepping stones. That's what I call them, steps. So that's what your moss stitch should be looking like. It's a really neat stitch. I absolutely love it. So this row you're going to do a moss stitch and you're going to leave 2 stitches unworked instead of 4. So it's just going to be 2. So I am all the way back to the edge. I've left these 2 stitches, that's hard to see. I've left these 2 stitches unworked. I've ended with a single crochet. I'm going to chain 1 and turn. So you may be ending with something different, because I may or may not have screwed this up by forgetting what stitch I was on. But like I said, it doesn't matter. It's such an easy peasy stitch, and it's so beginner friendly that if you do, it's not going to make a difference. So we're just going to decrease 1 time. So make sure you're going into this hole that you just came out of. Do your 1 decrease and then continue your moss stitch all the way back up, and you should have 21 stitches at the end of this row. So your next round is going to change a little bit. This first stitch, we're going to put 2 half double crochets into this first stitch. Then you're going to do the moss stitch all the way across, and you're going to put 2 single crochets into this last stitch. So this is what it should look like. This little tail here. You should have 30 stitches across at this point. So for the next, I've chained one and I'm turning. For the next 10 rows, you're just going to put, well, it's the moss stitch, so I can't say you can just put one single crochet in each stitch, but do your moss stitch, one in each stitch. We're not increasing or decreasing anymore for the next 10 rows. And I will see you on the other side. So this is my 10 rows. This is what you should have. We're going to start decreasing. Take my row counter off. So we're just going to start decreasing. I want you to do a single crochet decrease. And then I want you to do 26 moss stitches. And then I want you to decrease the last 2 stitches. You should have 28 stitches across, and I want you to just do moss stitch all the way across, one in each stitch. Chain one, turn your work. So we're going to do it again. We're going to decrease, single crochet decrease the first 2. We're going to do 24 moss stitches across and decrease the last 2 stitches. You should have 26 stitches. I want you to do a moss stitch all the way across, putting 1 stitch in each of those 26 stitches. So now it's just going to be decrease after decrease after decrease. For the next 4 rows, we're going to decrease every single row. So you're going to decrease the first 2, you're going to decrease the last 2, and you're going to put a moss stitch in between. And that's going to go on for 4 rows. So this is what it should look like. It should kind of come in like that. You should have 16 stitches, or sorry, 18 stitches along the top. So this is my second piece, so I'm not going to fasten off. I'm going to stay attached. But this will be your first piece. So go ahead and make your second piece. I will put my pattern up on the screen. and I'll meet you right back here and we can crochet this together. So I am all done mine. So I am just going to put the two pieces together as best that you can. And I need you to just make sure you're going into the same space as where you fastened off to start sewing this or crocheting this together. So once they're together, you're basically just going to go in wherever you can get your hook, and you're going to crochet the two pieces together. So there's going to be parts where you don't have stitches, such as the part we're doing right now, but just stick your hook wherever you can stick it, and you can get fairly close. Those are my stitches. So you can get fairly close together since it is a bag, and you can pull as super tight as you want. And as long as you've got these to be the exact same size, you should have no puckering, no problems. So once you're down on the corner, you can put extra stitches down here just to kind of round it off. Again, you may have to just fake some areas. So I've put 4 on this corner, so it'll give it a nice round look. And then you've got stitches up here you can actually follow. So before I go much further, I want to kind of keep it open because I want to sew on my stuff. So my last one, I crocheted eyes and a mouth, and I'm going to put those up on the screen right now. This time around I'm using buttons, which I'm sure most of you will probably prefer to do instead of. So before, I'm only 3/4 of the way around, actually I'm 3/4. I'm only 1/4 of the way around, so I'm gonna sew on my face. Well, I don't much sew as I do tie. Tie my face on. Because it's going to be a little more awkward to do it if this was closed up. So I'm just going to put a stitch marker there to protect my loop. And I'm going to put my eyes and my mouth on. So these have, this is the back. One of those at the back. So hopefully your buttons are different. I'm not a fan that that's what mine look like at the back. However, you kind of just got to deal with what you got to deal with. I got to find a needle that'll fit through it. So I'm gonna have these numbies at the back, but I don't really care. I don't think the child's really gonna care. And now we can finish crocheting this together. So this really thin part is not as awkward as you would think it was. But you don't have very many stitches to go through. But you can weave your tail in as you go. So if you got to put 2 stitches in that little spot there to help with that area. Stuck on a bunch of stuff. So you've got stitches here you can follow. So if you're curling up here, that's fine. That was never meant to be a spot that candy or anything goes into. That's just meant to be a little ghost tail type stuff. So, and neither was this. The spot that I'm doing now was never meant for, it was just meant to be part of the ghosty. So I've got another little step up here. I'm just going to put 2 stitches in the same space before I go to my step up. So I'm right back up at the very top. I'm going to put one more stitch in here, and then I'm going to chain 61. That's my 61. So I'm going to pop across to the other side. I'm going to attach just in a stitch back at the back here. I'm going to attach with a single crochet. I'm going to come to the other side of the opening, and I'm going to do a single crochet, and then I'm going to come over here, and in each stitch I'm going to put a half double crochet. So you're going in through the back of the stitch with a half double crochet all the way back across to the other side. So I'm on my last stitch, which is difficult to get into because now you've pulled everything. So I'm going to do my last stitch. I'm going to pop across to this side with a single crochet. I'm going to go into the very next stitch beside it. I'm going to fasten off. So you need a weaving tail. And that is it. All you gotta do is weave these things in now. And that is it. So because it's a moss stitch, you can easily hide your pieces in your stitches. And you can come down here. I didn't weave mine in while I was crocheting, so I'm just going to weave it into the back. Now, again, it's got such a nice kind of lift on it from the crocheting that you can easily hide this. And I find the reason I didn't weave it in is because I find that it helps pull it up so it doesn't curl so much. And there we go. I guess I can zoom out now. There we go. There's our little ghosty bag. I got two of them now. I like this one with the buttons better. I do. Thanks for joining me, guys. I'll see you in the next video.